I'm ready.
Ready. What's up, everybody? 916 Reactions back at you. I'm Darren.
I'm Kim.
And today we are doing East Coast versus West Coast living of America. We are about in the process of leaving the West Coast here, and we're going to move to the East Coast here really soon. So, kind of curious to see what can we expect.
We're curious. Yeah. I have only been to the East Coast one time for 1 week. So
we are California natives. I lived on the East Coast for a little bit while I was in the military, but all right, let's see what happens.
All right, let's see what I can expect.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell when we drop new videos.
916 Reactions.
916 Reactions. Here we go.
One of the questions I get all the time is, what's the biggest difference between the East Coast versus the West Coast living? So I grew up on the East Coast. I lived there till I was about 22 years old. I moved out to California when I was 22. And I've lived here ever since, so I have a little bit of experience of it in both areas, and I'm just going to kind of break it down, what things I've noticed in my time in both coasts. First one, I would say the jobs are pretty different out here on the East Coast versus West Coast. Obviously, people have these jobs on the East and the West Coast, but the East Coast, I find people to have, a lot of times they have more than one job, or they fluctuate jobs more often out here on California. Like on the East Coast, I feel like everyone's like a lawyer, doctor, accountant, nurse, those types of jobs. On the West Coast, people tend to have multiple jobs, or they consult with different jobs. It's a little bit more creative jobs out here. I feel like that's kind of the biggest difference. And I also notice people tend to not care as much about what job you have. Like if you go to a party out here on the West Coast, people don't really ask you, oh, what do you do for a living? I mean, they do, but not quite to the extent they do on the East Coast. And out here, they're like, oh, what show are you gonna watch on Netflix next? That's kind of what they care about more.
It's
Uh-oh.
He's not wrong, because we both had careers in media and creative fields. So yeah. The creative stuff is definitely alive and well on the West Coast. So we'll
TV,
see.
radio, all that good stuff. So it's
than what
oh boy
you do for a living. Another big thing about the big difference between the East Coast and the West Coast, I find the West Coast to be a little bit more entrepreneurial. Forbes magazine came out with a list of all the top states for entrepreneurship. California was number 2, and then they had the worst places to entrepreneurship, and it was 6 out of the top 10 were on the East Coast, like New Jersey, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, those types of places.
Wow.
Another big one on my the big difference between the East Coast is the food. Both places have good foods.
This is what I'm curious about, because California, we love our Mexican food.
We are foodies here, big time.
When I lived in the East Coast, it was so hard to find good. I mean, you could find decent Mexican food, but didn't have the same flavor profiles, I guess, as well, authentic, like we're used to getting out here in California.
Yeah, lots of taquerias and stuff like that, if you're from the area.
But the East Coast, I know they are pizza. I love deli subs,
I just imagine Italian food, lots of Italian food.
That's what I picture too. Let's see.
They have different good foods. On the East Coast, anything bread related I find to be way better on the East Coast, like pizza, bagels, sandwiches, even just the rolls they have there.
Probably.
And pretzels. I'm from Philadelphia. We have some great Philly pretzels there in Philadelphia, and we just can't get anything similar to that out on the West Coast. But if you're on the West Coast, Mexican food's a lot better. Sushi's a lot better out here, seafood, that sort of thing. So again, both places have great foods. They just have different things that are better, in my opinion.
I remember when I was living in Maine, we had to buy tortillas out of a can. And that was something that I'd never seen before. I didn't even know they made that.
Never seen that in my life, and I'm a little bit scared.
And the Mexican food aisle in the grocery store was just like one little section. It was all Taco Bell brand stuff. I was like, oh boy.
Oh, okay. That's not the ethnic food aisle, guys. Come on now.
So another obvious one that's a big difference between the East Coast and West Coast is the weather. The weather out in California, as I know I've probably talked about too many times, is pretty good. On the West Coast, you have more seasons, so you'll have spring, fall, summer, winter. West Coast, you're not really going to have that big difference between the seasons. One thing I do miss about these.
That's
what
true. I've heard.
Like the seasons here, it's hot from about May until about November. Then it gets cold until about February, and even that cold is like what, highs in the
very cold,
low 60s. Yeah, and then right around March, April, it starts heating up into about 70 degrees, and so you don't really get the change in You
Yeah,
just get the hot season and the cold season.
This weekend in California, Northern California, it's 90s. It's
Yeah.
going to be in the 90s.
Yeah, and we're not even in May yet.
Global
So.
warming, yo.
Goes as the thunderstorms and just like an
Ooh,
occasional
that's what
rainy
I
day.
miss.
Out in California, we just don't have that many rainy days, and we rarely have a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Do I need them every day? No, but I wouldn't mind an occasional one, you know.
Yeah,
once
you
every
don't
other
get
month, something
thunderstorms
like
out here that often.
But we probably get one every 3 years or so. Just one little thing that I miss that might sound crazy, but I miss a good thunderstorm. Another thing that's kind of different between the two cities, I think there was a quote that says, you live in New York once, but leave before it makes you hard. And if you lived in California once, leave before it makes you soft. So people tend to think that the West Coasters are a little softer, and people in New York or just the East Coast in general, or Philadelphia, makes you a little hard, which I tend to slightly agree. I have gotten soft when it comes to weather, as we talked about weather earlier. Grow up in warm weather all year round, you go to a cold area, you get cold a lot quicker, and you don't stand up to it as well as you used to. So
I would say that's for real. Like when it's a little bit in the 60s, I'm like, oh, it's cold. And I know I have to get used to the snow.
We were out a couple
So-
mornings ago, and it was 50-something degrees, and I was sitting there. I had a thermal on and a jacket. I was like, it is freaking freezing, man.
That's why you have to dress appropriately.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
the big difference that I really enjoy is the dress code out in California is much more casual than it is on the East Coast.
Very casual.
On the East Coast, people are bigger into shirt and ties and suits and that sort of thing. Although my East Coast friends have told me that it started to ease up a little bit in the last 5-10 years or so. But California is definitely way more casual than it is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
As many of my clients that moved out here have told me. I'm more of a t-shirt and polo shirt type guy and jeans. And on the West Coast, on the East Coast, you don't get away with that as easy. For example, Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, even when his company IPO'd, I think he wore a hoodie to his IPO. So I think if it was someone on the East Coast, like a big bank, went to their IPO, I don't think they're wearing a hoodie. So
Yeah, shorts and flip flops is my standard go-to
All the time.
all the time. So,
All the time.
another big thing I noticed that I think people tend to be friendlier out here on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, they're more direct. So if they like you, they're gonna let you know you like you on the East Coast, or if they hate you, they're gonna let you know they hate you on the East Coast. On the West Coast, they're gonna be friendly to you, even if they like you or don't like you most of the time. So they might be a little bit behind your back, but at least they will appear to be friendly. On the East Coast, they're gonna tell you how they feel. So take that for what it's worth. Another big thing I noticed.
what do you say?
What? So I just, okay. Well, I like it straight.
Straightforward.
Give it to me straight. If you don't like me, let me know
See,
in the comments.
yeah.
No, don't. Just kidding.
Let us know if you don't like her. Don't.
I love you.
Do.
All between the East and the West Coast is the infrastructure and transportation seems to be much better on the East Coast. They have better public transportation like subways and trains
Probably,
and
yeah.
buses and all that sort of thing. Which is funny here because the East Coast is much older than the West Coast is. So you think the West Coast would have been more on top of their transportation, but some of the car companies bought up some of the train tracks, so people would have to buy cars.
We love
which I
our
think is the
cars
story
out here.
of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, if you guys remember that movie. But that's just over time. I'm hoping the West Coast can pick up their public transportation because I like driving the subways, occasionally at least. But on the West Coast, it's very hard to do, especially in the San Diego, LA. San Francisco is a little bit better at it. But overall, public transportation and infrastructure, and even like the history of the East Coast, I find a little bit more exciting, just like how, the United States was started, Declaration of Independence, Liberty Bell, all those things. Take tours.
I'm
There's-
excited to see that.
There's a lot more American history on the East Coast for sure, but there's a lot of non-American history out west that predates,
Indigenous people,
1776 or, all those things. So when you think of American history, yeah, you think the East Coast, but when you think of like the actual history of the land and the continent, there's a lot going on out here too. Just, it's not,
And the West.
yeah.
Of all these different cities that have a lot of history in them. California's had a lot of history in it too, just different type of history. Those are my big differences between the East Coast and the West Coast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And if you're ever looking to move to San Diego, I'd love to help you guys find your next home. And it's your first time to our channel, please subscribe to our channel as we post new videos every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Way to go.
Bye.
Also, something that I wish that he would have covered. He did kind of cover it with infrastructure and the roads and stuff. The roads in California are sketch. sketchy. Lots of potholes. They don't keep up the roads as much as you think that they would, because
Yeah.
you see the movies and you're like, oh, it's so pretty and like the
It's-
roads are beautiful and someone's driving in a convertible. Yeah, but they don't show the pothole that they go into.
It's kind of a running joke here too. Is you see
Yeah.
the signs, your tax dollars hard at work, but there's potholes. You're like, what the hell are the tax dollars? What are they working on? Why are you putting them on right next to a road that's obviously needing to be worked on?
That's
But-
one of the things. I think that's a big surprise when you come here.
So, what do you think about the
Potholes.
East Coast? What he was saying?
Yeah, from what I've heard from other people, that's very true. And they're like the seasons, 4 distinct seasons. So I'm ready to see that, because around here, I mean, on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, we're outside.
Yeah, t-shirts.
Hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I'm excited about the thunderstorms as well because I really love. Like you
I
said,
like the rain, so I'm okay with that. I
Yeah.
really, really like the rain.
we get a good thunderstorm here, or not even a good one, just a thunderstorm
Mhm.
about once every 3 years, and you might see a little bit of lightning off in the distance or something. But
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. All right, so that's
All
what we
right.
have to look forward to, huh?
Okay. Well, let us know if there's something you think we missed, or something that stands out to you about the West Coast or the East Coast, and
Let us know in the
leave a
comments
comment.
what we're in for moving to the East
Yeah,
Coast.
let
here.
us know.
So it'll be interesting.
All right. Make sure you like and subscribe. 916 Reactions. I'm Kim.
I'm Darren, and we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.
Peace.